So how do you make sure the story stays alive? Let's go with that. Like okay, you've generated this piece of myth in the world. You've written down, you've mapped it, everything. It's based on scientific reality, and now you planted a story. How do you make sure that the story is alive for the next 100, 2,000 years?
Mm.
Have you worked on that also, or do you just think about singular stories that will fizzle off in some time, because you want to make a story strong enough that will last for a long time? Is there
Here,
any
what
specific,
my
sorry,
process is. Yeah, sorry,
is there any specific thing that you have done? Can you like talk about some specific stories that you have, some specific myths that you have generated? It'll be nice to.
Okay, but I'll start with the process where and I will explain to you about like Ashwatthama, the chapter one that I'm kind of currently working on.
Yeah.
So the way I start um, kind of looking around for stories. So it is not something that I'm planting a story, a completely a new fiction that I'm kind of instilling. That also one day maybe I would want to kind of get into.
Yeah.
But for now, what I'm doing as a researcher, if I go into let's say the Asirgarh Fort area, which is near Burhanpur in Madhya Pradesh, and so first I would go and search for historical artifacts and historical findings in terms of what are anecdotes of the local region, and who I mean what kind of stories people tell first.
Yeah.
And so it's a word of mouth, which is always exaggerated, or masala dal ke sab hota hai. So once you start understanding and once you start understanding the history of the region and all that, you realize that there are loopholes. There are loopholes which are called, I mean, I like to say that they're the absence of information.
Hmm.
So I kind of first map out where 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 are artifacts not there to kind of validate certain parts of history.
Okay.
And one is of course because
But why why
photography
why is it
as a
important?
medium.
Why is it important to fill that gap?
In order for to create a myth, you will have to bridge certain gaps of gaps of validity, I guess. That how do you validate a historical fact?
So you're
Sorry,
basically, so yeah, no, but like it's like in
sounds
a way
like
it's like a it's like a ghost story, right? It's like
huh.
if you don't want somebody to go out in the night, then parents tell the children that don't go out. There are ghosts out. I mean,
Uh,
it's how it starts. So basically, your own brain works again, and you kind of like it fills it. There's like you use fear against the person.
if you look at all these like these news channels who have created content around
Yeah,
Ashwatthama, and where he's seen, and people say that he's seen.
yeah,
So if those are made as ghost stories, because the moment you tell someone that a person who was part of the stories of Mahabharata, which is thousands of years
y-
back,
yeah.
and he's alive and he's still roaming around, in 21st century itself is a ghost story,
That's true.
right? So
अरे नहीं
here,
लेकिन मतलब न्यूज़ चैनल्स ने तो आई हैव सीन देम एलियंस हैव पिक्ड अप काउज ऑन इंडिया टीवी एंड लाइक क्या बकवास मतलब इट्स लाइक सम you can't digest these stories but like bana diya matlab they're on national television, people are making stories. That's what I'm saying, matlab it's like are government uses this, no, it's like you need to create these stories. So that's what I was trying to say. It's like I understand this, but for a larger audience, people, no one has the ability to articulate, especially to meet someone who actually spins these stories. You're doing this as a creative endeavor, and some people are doing this as a professional thing. So it's nice to meet you
exactly.
it's nice to meet you in the middle and ask you all the
uh,
juice out, like what excites you, um, like what made you start in the first place? Can you explain that in the starting? How does all this start?
oh yeah, okay. Starting from there, when I was a kid, I used to hear this story from an uncle of mine who always said that his grandmother had
Uncles.
had seen and met
Yeah.
Ashwathama.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Seen.
uncles.
He's seen and met
Thanks to
Ashwathama.
these uncles. Seen and met Ashwathama
He has
while
seen.
on a parikrama, Narmada parikrama.
He's seen and he's like met. He's like, hey,
Not him, his grandmother.
oh my God,
His
then.
grandmother had seen and
Okay.
met
Met
Ashwathama.
Ashwathama.
So, what is even more interesting in, I mean, if you see all the myths and especially there is this Hindi word called Kivadanti, which means
What does it mean?
that they are Kivadanti is like an hearsay.
हाँ मतलब
अच्छा
सुना
सुना
मतलब
है कि ऐसा है.
सुना है कि ऐसा
They
हाँ
say it's possible.
हाँ मतलब
अभी
वो
they say कौन होता है, who's they, we don't know.
लोग कहते हैं बोलते हैं और लाइक व्हेन
हाँ,
से
लोग कहते
हाँ
हैं.
लोग कहते हैं बराबर
So,
सो या सॉरी
but
सो
they stayed with me for
he's
for
he
forever, like
told you that
for longest time.
he told you his grandmother saw Ashwathama.
Saw and met Ashwathama while on Narmada Parikrama, and if you and then
And
it stayed with me for long. And
obvi-
while I was researching on,
obviously
like, if you just look around conspiracy theories online, and even if you just type in Ashwathama,
yeah
even the Wikipedia page also mentions this, because there is a certain story attached to it in Mahabharata itself, that Krishna, when he actually killed all the sons of Pandav,
yeah
and so Draupadi wanted revenge from Ashwathama.
obviously
That yeah, I mean,
yeah
killing all the kids and all that. So Krishna says that okay, fine. At the end, he had to surrender his gem, which the gem he had
yeah
on his forehead.
yeah
Um, so by surrendering the gem, and he was also given like a curse at the end, not just by Krishna, in fact by other rishis also, that you will live on this earth, a wretched life, and nobody will come to you,
for
nobody will give you any help or anything, and you will be, you'll always be like kind of dreadfully roaming around in the forests and jungles,
oh
and
you'll be given
particularly around the river banks of Narmada and Tapi in Madhya Pradesh.
my God. So I mean there's even more reason to validate and believe that this is there.
It is there, and that's why it's not said by one person. As they say, a lot of people say, okay, acha, stories are like smoke, and itihas is
That's nice.
actually the fire.
Oh, that's a nice line, man. Itihas is like, can you repeat that? Itihas?
Fire.
It's like fire.
Itihas is like fire. History is like fire, and smoke are the stories.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. That makes sense. Beautiful, yeah? It's beautiful. And you are lighting the fire.
No, I'm not lighting the fire. That's what the fire is already there.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is I'm helping the smoke to reach as many people as possible. That's the only thing that I'm doing.
Online. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like
You're
that's what I'm saying,
fanning.
that
Yeah.
the story of Ashwathama is imprinted. It is inscribed on a stone
Yeah.
by the Archaeological Survey of India on the entrance to the Asirgarh Fort. It is already written there that from the Mahabharata,
So,
the character from Mahabharata it comes here.
so